Well, there he is, Antichrist Donald Trump in Abu Dhabi as he arrived here earlier today. Quite the ceremony. I don't know what these women are doing, whipping their heads around with their long hair, but I imagine that's part of their ritual slash tradition. Guess we don't need to hear all the chanting and drum playing. Hey everyone, Johnny here, Don't Speak News. Well, this is news that they're all speaking about. It's kind of hard to ignore, as Trump is making trillions of dollars worth of deals for the American military industrial complex. I guess you could say the American AI industrial complex, as you have Sam Altman and Elon Musk and all the other technocratic toadies over there, right? And then you've got Trump making money for his family too. I've seen all kinds of articles like that saying Trump is enriching himself and his family on this trip. And that he was in serious financial trouble before he took office again. That's what they always like to say. It just kind of fuels the fire. But anyway, there it is as Trump arrives at Abu Dhabi for the official Emirati state visit. And not only that, as he's been making this tour around the Middle East, all the mainstream press, including Al Jazeera here, is saying that this is Trump's moment to deliver peace to the Middle East. And Trump himself, as I showed you in the video the other day from Saudi Arabia, talked about peace and safety for the entire Middle East. This is an historic moment, is what he said. And of course, in this article, they're putting the two-state solution forward here, which we've also heard a lot about here recently, right? And a lot about Syria, Lebanon, and six other countries, they're saying, up to six, signing on to the Abrahamic Accords because of this trip and all the deals Trump is making, that eventually it will lead to that, and I believe it too. Prophecy says it will. He shall make a covenant with many. Well, they're saying, like it says here, this is Trump's moment to deliver peace to the Middle East, and by supporting Palestine's UN admission, he can unlock regional stability, economic growth, and a lasting legacy. And he likes that, having a lasting legacy, right? So here we go. The Arab world stands at a crossroad, a moment of truth that hinges on the region's unified leadership and moral clarity. As President Trump arrives in the Gulf this week seeking investments and strategic partnerships, the opportunity for regional peace and security, there it is again, is overwhelmingly clear. The Arab leaders should explain clearly to President Trump that peace and economic development in the Middle East are within reach and depend on one critical condition: the admission of Palestine to the United Nations as its 194th member state. And they're saying that for this to become a reality, the U.S. must lift its veto on Palestine's entry to the UN, which would mean Trump would have to name it as an independent state or recognize it as such. So what's at stake, they're saying, is not simply a diplomatic negotiation. A two-state solution is a practical imperative and a test of international resolve. There can be no peace in the region and no long-term development if Israel continues to maraud its way through Palestine, Lebanon, Syria, and others. They're saying that Israel must be compelled through diplomacy to live within its own borders and to allow Palestine to live within its legal borders, those of June 4th, 1967. If the U.S. backs the admission of Palestine to the UN, this would happen. And then they go on to say that the stakes could not be higher. The U.S. would receive a windfall of investments, the Middle East would achieve normalcy, and the basis for a surge of economic development in both Israel and Palestine would live in peace. The Trump administration, in a significant departure from previous administrations, is moving toward a foreign policy centered on pragmatic deal-making diplomacy. And so there you go. They're also talking about a deal with Iran getting done and all of that. So Trump is on tour, not just to make the money, but now they're saying to deliver peace to the Middle East. Wow. And then to go along with all of that, we have this in Abu Dhabi today. I was wondering if this wasn't going to happen. The Antichrist Trump is now visiting the Abrahamic family house in Abu Dhabi, the end-time world religion. Trump will be the first president to tour the complex. Secretaries of State Blinken and Rubio have visited previously. And so they're going to cut me off here and make me subscribe to get access. But anyway, I think you get the idea. He's now touring the one world faith, the unity faith, the Chrislam as they're calling it. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. What part does light have with darkness? I mean, there's absolutely no way Christianity can merge with any other religion. Jesus Christ said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one gets to the Father but through me. You can't be reconciled to God any other way. But Trump's making this visit, and it's very symbolic. I wish I could show you more of the article, but there we are, right? Well, let's see. Maybe we can see if we can. Don't Speak News at Proton. And we'll see if that works. Yeah, it did. Look at that. So, President Trump is slated to visit the Abrahamic family house in Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates on Friday, which will be tomorrow. The first American presidential visit to the interfaith institution since its inauguration in February 2023. The complex, which houses a synagogue, mosque, and church connected by a central pavilion, was intended as a display of interfaith cooperation and tolerance by the UAE. During its construction, the chair of the Emirati Department of Culture and Tourism said the project epitomizes interfaith harmonious coexistence. It's just so much blasphemy here, and preserves the unique character of each religion. They're not supposed to be blended together, but anyway. So then Secretary of State Tony Blinken made the first high-level visit to the Abrahamic family house October 14th, 2023, shortly after his trip to Israel in the wake of the October 7th attacks. He left a message on the wall reading "Light in the Darkness" and called this incredible place a reminder of our common humanity. Of course, when he's talking about that light in the darkness, as he is, all those elites consider that to be Lucifer, not Jesus Christ. Just saying. So there we are. Trump's making the rounds. He's selling the goods. As you can see here, he struck $244 billion in deals with Qatar, including an historic Boeing jet sale. So I guess they're going to, Qatar Airways is going to acquire up to 210 American-made Boeings, the 787 Dreamliner and the 777X aircraft, for as long as they stay in the air. I mean, we've been seeing them drop different places, right? Even the people that make them said they wouldn't feel safe flying in them, and they wouldn't fly in one. So what does that tell you? So anyway, the Qataris are going to buy it anyway to suck up to the Antichrist, Donald Trump. Wow. There's so much going on right now. It's impossible to keep track of it all. But as all of this is going on, and Trump is basking in the Gulf Arab applause, Israel has been massacring children in Gaza, still, from the Middle East eye. U.S. President Trump's tour of Riyadh, Abu Dhabi, and Doha is not diplomacy. It is theater, staged in gold, fueled by greed, and underwritten by betrayal. A U.S. president openly arming a genocide is welcomed with red carpets, handshakes, and blank checks. Trillions are pledged. Personal gifts are exchanged. And Gaza, in the meantime, continues to burn. Gulf regimes have power and wealth. They have Trump's ear, yet they use none of it. Not to halt the slaughter, ease the siege, or demand dignity. None of it. It's just Palestine wasn't even mentioned on these trips, as far as I know, other than, achieving Middle East peace. So in return for riches and deference, Trump grants Israel bombs and sets it loose upon the region. This is the real story. At the heart of Trump's return lies a project he initiated during his first presidency: the erasure of Palestine, the elevation of autocracy, and the redrawing of the Middle East in Israel's image. Yes, let's keep in mind something very important here. Trump is having a feud with Bibi and the current Israeli government, not so much with Israel itself. So let's keep that in mind and perspective as all of this starts to unfold, or continues to unfold. And there we are. Wow. Guys, are you ready? Are you prayed up? Are you prepped up? Because the crap's about to hit the fan. Wow, there's just so much going on. So much. It's just, like I said, it's impossible for one person like me to keep track of it all, or to even, come close to reporting on it all. And in order to do that, I'd have to be doing a live 24/7, and that's, physically impossible. So, and I put this on don'tspeaknews.com earlier today. Tensions between the U.S. and Denmark over Greenland keep escalating. A guest post by Lucas Leros from the BRICS Journalists Association. Very good article you want to check out. Gives you some of the history and the current events going on around Denmark. And what it would take to make an agreement with Denmark. And then also this article here, guest post from Andrew Corbico. Yemen taught Trump some lessons that he'd do well to apply toward Ukraine. That and over 2,500 stories now that are published. You can look at, research, ready to go, right here on don'tspeaknews.com. News that we can't report on in most cases anywhere else. If you'd like to support us, we are listener supported only, and we are up against it. We have 4 days to keep all the lights and internet and stuff turned on. 4 days from now. It'll be shut off if we don't. So channel support, if you want to support us, is right here. Click on that tab, and all the links to support us are right there. And we thank you so much for that. Without you guys, we wouldn't stick around. Rumble, BitChute, Telegram, all the places to find us on the interwebs are right here. Click on that tab, and here's our YouTube address for as long as we have it. Telegram, Substack, BitChute, Rumble, and so on. And that will be it for now. God bless, take care. Johnny Storm, Don't Speak News.